Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday evening. We're continuing with the article, The Mutual Guarantee Arvut. You can also find this article under the articles of Baal Hasulam on our website. Okay, but you should have a link in any case, if I'm not mistaken, right here. So we left off at item 21 last week, and we're good up to number 20. But if you have any queries and questions along the way, you can always ask. What we're just trying to do is go over the article and decipher stuff. If you're new to the channel, it might be a better idea. Well, not a better idea. It'll be a good idea if you start and check out the lessons on semester 1, 2, and 3, so you can get an idea of what the fundamentals of the wisdom of Kabbalah really are. And if you're really interested and you want to study under a structured course, you can always go to Kabbalah.info and register there for a course with the KAB-EU Academy. Right, then, and you can meet like-minded people. So let's carry on with number 21 from the article, the Arvut, Mutual Guarantee. Now, up to here, as you know, we talked about what mutual guarantee is, right? Mutual guarantee is just like in the laws of nature, how everything is interrelated and interconnected. So is humanity and society. And because we're social creatures, we're all dependent on each other, just like nature is dependent on each other, right? So plants need the still level. Still level also needs the plants, because this is how the soil gets rich with minerals. They need the animals. Everybody needs everybody in reality, okay? So this is how the whole system is made up. Except we humans, we like to be independent. We don't want to be, dealing with any other person. So we like to go our own sweet way. Unfortunately, that's how we've been developing for several thousands of years. And as you can see, that's not really going anywhere except getting us into trouble. All right, so the important thing here is to understand that the whole of reality is connected and interconnected. And we as humanity as well need to change the way we look at our lives and understand that we depend on each other. All right, so this is very important. So let's read item 21. These are the words of Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon, who said that the world is judged by its majority. He was referring to the role of the Israeli nation to qualify the world for a certain measure of purity until they're worthy of taking upon themselves his work, no less than Israel were worthy at the time they received the Torah. In the words of our sages, it is considered that they had attained enough virtues to overcome the side of sin, which is the filthy self-love. Now, we've talked about this on many occasions, but let's just repeat it again. Israel, or the Israel nation, means we're just talking about a group of people who are directed towards attaining spirituality. We're not talking about Israelis living in Israel, okay? Don't go there. That's corporeality. Israel comes from the word Yashar El, and anybody who's directed towards attaining the Creator or attaining the attributes of the Creator is called Israel. Yashar El, straight to the Creator. So this has nothing to do with religion. There's nothing to do with a country's people. Anyone, it could be anybody. It could be from anyone from Africa, Europe, I don't know, Asia, doesn't matter where from. Okay, as long as a person has that inclination, he's called Israel. So when a group of people who have that inclination come together to study for this goal, they're called the Israeli nation, because they've come together to be a nation. What does a nation mean? A nation means that those whose hearts are together. All right, so that's what a nation is. If you look at the world today, there is no nation. All nations are broken. There is no unity inside any nation today, because it's like a jungle out there, right? No matter what country you go to, there are people from all over the place. And what we have today is multiculturalism, right? Which basically means no culture, all right? Because everybody's mixed. It's like cooking a soup, right? You open the fridge and whatever is in there, you chuck it in the pan and you got yourself a soup. What soup it is, God knows. So that's the state of the world today. So it's a bit of a mixed bunch. It's not bad. This is how it's supposed to be. So we're supposed to come from all this mixing to an understanding that despite the fact that we're all different, we need to learn how to live together. All right, so there's a reason why we're all mixed up in the 21st century, and it needs to be that way so that we can overcome all our differences in order to have a good life for all of us. Okay, so the Israeli nation means that exactly, a group of people who are directed towards spirituality. And clearly, if the side of merit, which is the sublime attainment of the benefit of loving others, transcends the filthy side of sin, right? Remember what a sin is, right? A sin is not what a religious person thinks it is. Sin is the filthy self-love. Our egoistic behavior is called a sin. Why? Because we're selfish. Our nature is egoistic, and it's not our fault that we're created egoists. This is just how it is. So what we have to do is to convert that egoism into something better, into an interconnected new attribute, let's say, a new functionality of our nature, which is actually, instead of bestowal, is to be like the laws of nature, which is bestowing and loving. All right, we have to turn ourselves into that. And as long as we do not do that, reality and the world will suffer. Okay, and this is why we have all kinds of problems in life, from our family problems to wars, all right, to world wars. Everything is based on that one little thing, egoism. That is the evil side of man, and that's what's called a sin. If I use my ego, obviously don't regard sin as the religious people out there in the world do. Okay, because this is not how it is in the wisdom of Kabbalah. In the wisdom of Kabbalah, a sin has to happen. I have to see my bad side, and I have to understand at a sensational and an intellectual level that my bad nature, my bad sides are causing me problems, causing myself problems, right? Now, causing myself problems and everybody else around me as well. So if I cause somebody else harm, I'm harming the system. So that harm is also coming back to me as well. So the more I understand how bad and evil our egoistic nature is, I can take steps to kind of prevent myself or stop myself from doing the things that I rather not do because I see that it's causing me harm. Right? So on the one hand, I have to discover this evil nature. On the other hand, I have to, from what I see, understand and experience that this is bad. And then I have to, from the understanding, come to a reframement. Okay, that's just how it is. If I do this by studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, it'll be easier for me because the wisdom of Kabbalah is just talking about, look, the wisdom of Kabbalah is a social science. Okay, it's talking about human nature and our interrelatedness. So if I understand that my egoistic nature is causing harm and everybody else is too, actually, we're all egoists, then we can all come to an understanding not to use our egoistic nature, because it's killing us, right? So egoistically, all right, egoistically, we will not use our egoistic nature because we see it's causing us harm. So, so this is why a sin has to happen, but I've got to be sensible about it. I've got to be smart about it. I can't keep making the same mistake again and again and again and expect life to treat me subtly, because there'll come a time I'll just get a big punch in the face, okay, from life, obviously. And then it'll just accumulate, right? So this is how the world is going. It's accumulating. We don't learn. We don't take the lesson we should be taking. And then it erupts into a war. Right? So like the First World War, the Second World War, like the thousands of wars we've gone through in humanity. Okay? So there's a good way to learn and a silly way to learn. And that silly way to learn is how the rest of humanity is learning, by getting beaten up by life. So we have to discover this evil side, and if we study it, we can realize it without having to go through the suffering, because we have an understanding behind what's going on. Clearly, if the side of merit, which is the sublime attainment of the benefit of loving others, transcends the filthy side of sin, they become qualified for the decision and the agreement to say, we will do and we will hear, as Israel said. But before they obtain sufficient merits, self-love will certainly prevail, and they will refuse to assume his burden. Now, his burden, the Creator's burden, obviously to all of us, is to attain the purpose of life. And unfortunately, despite the fact that we may not like it, love it, want it, or don't want to deal with it, we don't have a choice, right? So just like kids have to grow up, we can't remain kids forever. So life is pushing us all to develop, to come to the purpose and the meaning of life. And the purpose of life for all of us is actually really nice. It's to attain a higher level of consciousness and existence beyond this corporeal body that we're so addicted to. So it's a means of actually transcending ourselves to a higher level of existence without any boundaries of this body, which is born, it gets old, and then it just dies off. Okay. And that's about it. So what do we have to do? We have to transcend ourselves, and that's what the study is all about. And if we do that, then we will be successful. But success is destined for everyone, by the way. Right? Everyone in this business will be successful. When I say business, obviously dealing with spirituality, right? Everyone will be successful. There is no chance that we cannot be successful simply because the purpose of life is for all created beings. All right, so those who work at it, obviously, they can speed up their progress. How's that helpful? Well, that's helpful because you don't have to go through beatings in life if you understand how life works before you throw yourself into life. All right, so if I study life first, understand how it functions, then I don't have to go through all the turmoils and the grinding by sour experiences. It's as easy as that. So it's very important for us this is why it's very important for us to study wisdom of Kabbalah, so that we can really get a hold on what our life is all about. Let's carry on reading a little bit more. If there are any questions, just wave at me, okay? If there are? Okay, fine. Fine. Ingrid is asking why some have revealed the wisdom of Kabbalah and others not. Well, it's like development of human beings. In society, sometimes you get people who are like very, researching. They go into topics really deep. They want to get a good, deep understanding. And there are some people, like me, for example, I don't really care what's inside this gadget. I just like to use it. Okay? It's just like, I don't care who's done it. I don't care what's inside it. Okay? But I just use it. All right? I talk, I message, I browse the internet, whatever. Okay? So as you can see, I'm pretty shallow. Okay? But this is just how it is. So in society, there are some people who by character, by nature, they like to go deep into stuff. And some people, they just like to, use the stuff and just, live life as it is, or go lucky kind of thing. All right. That's just how it is. So we're all different. And according to our development, inside of us, a certain point called the dot in the heart awakens. And that dot in the heart is an inclination to discover the meaning of life. Now, we don't know why in some people it awakens and in some people it doesn't, because we don't have a full grasp of the system yet. Just like we don't have a full understanding of how our body works. We understand how the human body works, but we don't know all the details. Science is still far from discovering all the details of the human body. However, though, we can say the whole body is interconnected and everything depends on everything. And if I have one little organ, I don't know, like a small little kidney, who has a bit of a problem, then, my whole body suffers, right? So just like humanity is also that interconnected, there are some organs I can do without. Okay, God forbid though, but some I can't. Okay, for example, I can go for a haircut. All right, and if they cut my hair a little bit, and I don't feel anything bad, except if it's a bad cut, I might have a bad hair day or something, just psychological dramas. But other than that, you see, I get a haircut, it doesn't really affect the body. All right, we don't really mind. And that's just how it is, but it's still a part of the whole functioning thing. So everything is a part of the whole, and some organs have an important function, some less important functions, but overall they make up the whole body. And unless we are one full whole body, we don't feel perfection, right? So God forbid, let's say if somebody's missing an arm or a leg or a limb or something, okay, they're still missing that part of that body. So what we need to attain is the whole completeness. And according to that development, just like a baby develops in the womb, some of us in society develop a little bit faster than the other parts of the body. Okay, that's just a phase of development. But at the end of the day, everything, all the organs, the last cell makes the whole body, and it's all interconnected and interrelated. So why have some revealed the wisdom of Kabbalah and others not? Well, it's a matter of effort and work. You see, we really work hard to explain the wisdom of Kabbalah to the whole world. We really do. And the whole of B'nai Baruch really does a lot of stuff to explain to the world what the wisdom of Kabbalah is, why we're suffering, why we're sad, how can we be happy, how can we have a better life, right? We really are working to the bone. And as you can see, some people come, they study, and some people then leave after they study, and some people stay, and it's usually a few group of people who study. However, though, that's not important, really. What is important is this. Anyone who's awakened to the goal, to the purpose of life, can do their maximum, and that maximum can influence the whole of reality. Everybody else too. So the whole world doesn't need to really come to an understanding. I mean, my hands don't understand my brain, but my brain understands that I want to do something with my hands, and my hands function according to that. So in the whole of humanity as well, there are scientists, and you see they open the path with their discoveries. So then we develop technology and other stuff, and we develop more and more. Same with spirituality. And a group of people, through their attainment, can open the floodgates to everyone if they do a good job. So hopefully we will do a good job, and we will not rest until we finish our job. And that will also help the rest of humanity as well. Okay. And this article is actually very important in the sense that it's called mutual guarantee. It means even if it's just us right now, right? Let's say, I don't know, 8, 10 people listening to the lesson right now. Even this 8 or 10 people can make a lot of difference in the world, because we're focused and thinking about the purpose of life, getting to the purpose of life, why we need to attain the purpose of life. And our thoughts and our desires are in that direction. And this influences people around us as well. This helps everyone to develop. So as my understanding develops, my hands begin to work more like an artist. See, like a baby, they don't really know what to do with their hands and legs when they're born, right? But as they grow up, they attain life, they understand life, then they start coordinating. See, their hands and legs become coordinated, and they can do things that they couldn't do before. So humanity is the same kind of way. So if a group of people attain spirituality and push forward, it will help everyone attain. So the hands and the legs will know how to be coordinated with the mind, and everything will be in unison. That's just how it is. It's laws of nature. But is there a difference between those who have revealed the wisdom of Kabbalah and those who haven't? Well, at the moment, yes. But in the future, there won't be. How can there be if we're all one body? Right? So if I individually think about myself, I don't want harm to come to any part of my body, right? Because this is my body. So even my small finger is right important, okay? Because I'm using it for something, okay? So we're touchy. And that's just how it is. So also when the whole of humanity develops to such a degree, every part becomes important and that every part attains perfection and feels perfection as well. Just like my hands are not complaining about why am I not the brain? Why am I the hands and not the brain? So it's not complaining. Why? Because the hand, it likes to do things with the hand, right? This is its nature. And so wonder actually how we're all different with different qualities, but we all contribute and complement to make one beautiful perfection. And just like my brain isn't complaining about why I'm not the legs and I'm not walking, or my heart isn't complaining and saying, well, why I'm not the liver. It's all connected. Everybody's happy where they are, as long as they're all functioning well and helping each other out. Okay, so this is the important thing we need to understand, that everything in reality, every part and piece in reality, including every human being in the world, has a special place. And we just have to discover by spiritually developing ourselves where we can actually fill in that little part of the puzzle that we belong to. And if a person does that, they can progress really fast because they understand how they can fit into nature, into life. And think about it, most of the people that are having problems right now in life is just simply because they don't have like an objective to live. There's no cause, like there's no, what's the goal? What's the purpose? What am I living for? So, and if you miss that little point, you're just floating with life and just, not really making sense. So it reveals to some people, but it will have to reveal to everyone sooner or later. We have to understand the system a little bit better. Our sages said, he who performs one commandment is happy, for he has sentenced himself and the whole world to the side of merit. Now, when we're talking about commandments, okay, well, once again, we have to understand a commandment means to get corrected, right? What does that mean? It means, once again, to change my evil inclination of egoism into altruism. That is a command. That's what we need to do. And this is how we need to, all of us, this is how we need to work, right? So I first have to study and work in the group, and then I discover how egoistic I am. And then I want that egoism to be corrected because I understand and see the harm it's causing everyone. This means that an individual from Israel, so anybody from the group, finally adds his own part to the final decision as one who weighs sesame seeds and adds them one by one to the scale until the balance shifts. So as long as all of us are working, like I said a few minutes ago, like if we're all contributing, doing our best, right, it allows the whole world to progress on the better side of things. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, if a person is stuck in its current nature by birth, there's really not much they can do. Because think about it, right? If we hadn't kind of wondered about the meaning of life, if we hadn't really had an awakening or whatever, we would be running after our worldly pleasures as well. We'd be running after corporeal stuff where we can be happy, running around the planet, I don't know, you name it. We'd be chasing all kinds of pleasures. And before we came to the wisdom of God, well, hey, let's admit it, we've done them. Okay, so that's just how it is. So we ran after a bunch of stuff. We did the best we could in trying to get pleasure out of life, really squeezed the lemon to the last drop, as they say. And we realized that, you know what, no matter what I do, things aren't really going that great. Okay, I'm still thinking about what's the point of it all. And then all of a sudden, you look for another fulfillment, which is something deeper inside, and you come to the wisdom of Kabbalah, right? And by changing, right, so we're changing ourselves. By changing, we're actually also changing our environment as well. We're playing a role in changing the world. Because now we're in between two things, our corporeal desires, which we were initially given with from nature, and the second inclination for spirituality, which allows us to like play this music like an accordion, right? So I'm like stuck in between this corporeal and spiritual. And this allows me to make discernments about what I need to do, how I need to do it, what should I do, what should I chase, what I shouldn't chase, and so forth. So all of those discernments also allows me to apply a free will, which normally we don't have when we're born. Because if I'm just a desire to receive pleasure, I'm just going to run after pleasure or run away from pain. And if that's by default, it means I've got no free choice anyway. I'm just going to look at life and make a calculation in between those two states. That's not called free choice. Free choice is whether I want to live in this state or the opposite state. This is why a dot in the heart, like an awakening for spirituality, is important, and I need to pursue it. And also, all the students of the wisdom of Kabbalah also have to do what? They have to be in this world, right? They have to be in corporeality as well. This is why we got jobs, kids, family, all kinds of dramas that normal people go through in life, as well as us. Plus, we're going through spiritual development as well, right? So you got both sides. You got to have the dramas on this side and the dramas on that side as well. Okay, so it's dramas times two. Okay, but that's just how it is. Okay, but that allows you to develop because you can see things from two different perspectives, and that allows you to develop further. And as you develop, the whole of humanity develops as well. So that commandment is actually the commandment for us to develop spiritually. Certainly, everyone takes part in this shifting, for without him, the sentencing would never be completed. Similarly, it is said about the acts of an individual from Israel that he sentences the whole world to the side of merit. This is because when the matter ends and the whole world has been sentenced to the side of merit, each and everyone will have a share in this shifting. For were it not for his actions, the shifting would have been deficient. So all of us studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, wanting to attain the meaning of life, have to put in our share of good into the world. That's just how it is, okay? And if we all do it, we shift the world towards the better side of things. Thus you find that Rabbi Elazar, son of Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon that is, does not dispute the words of our sages that all of Israel is responsible for one another. So all of us in the group, we're all responsible for each other's spiritual attainment. We're all responsible in contributing to everybody's spiritual development. That's what mutual guarantee, mutual responsibility is. That I'm responsible for everyone's spirituality and that everybody is responsible for mine as well. This has to be mutual, because if I don't feel that the friends are responsible for me, I can't leave self-thought. I can only leave thinking about myself if I get the feeling and sensation that the rest of the group are thinking about me. And this goes for everyone. So if I'm thinking about everybody else and not thinking about myself, and everybody's doing the same thing, we all get the sensation that I don't have to think about myself because everybody else is thinking about me. This allows you to change from self to outer. So like going into others rather than staying in yourself, okay? This is why this mutual responsibility is very critical. What else does it say? Rather, Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, speaks of the correction of the whole world in the future, whereas our sages speak of the present when only Israel have taken upon themselves the Torah. So currently, it's just us studying, right? Bnei Baruch, the whole group in Bnei Baruch, the whole world Kli, the whole world group. So we're studying. So those of us who are from all over the world studying the wisdom of Kabbalah in order to correct ourselves, in order to correct our egoistic nature, we are called, what are we called? We're called Israel. Okay? That's it. And if this group pushes forward to transform themselves from an egoistic nature to an altruistic one, then the whole world also shifts towards altruism. Because at the end of the day, those who make a change are those who have free choice. And free choice can only happen if I'm in between two states. I have to have a dot in the heart, plus I also have to have an egoistic nature that I was born with. And in between those two, I can always make a decision to put that sesame seed into the side of good on the scale. All right. And that's that. Let's do this. All right. Item number 22. And this is what Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon, quotes from the writings: one sinner destroys much good. So one sinner means one of us, right? It's not talking about the people out there on the street. Okay, so one of us not contributing enough, or not contributing, I can't say enough, but how can I say it? Not contributing as much as one should according to their current developed state. Okay, that's what we can say. So if I'm supposed to contribute, let's say 1 kilogram, and I'm only contributing, I don't know, 750 grams, then obviously, it's not going to work out well for me. All right, or the group's not going to work out for the whole system. Okay, so all of us have to kind of chip in what we can. So that 250 grams that I'm supposed to put in, but I didn't put in, will cause a deficiency in everyone. Okay. It has already, this is why it says one sinner destroys much good. It has already been explained in item 20 that the impression that comes to a person when engaging in mitzvot, that is the commandments, right? When engaging in our correction, between man and the Creator is completely the same as the impression he gets when engaging in the commandments between man and man, since one is obliged to perform all the commandments for the Creator's sake, without any hope for self-love, meaning that no light or hope returns to him through his trouble in the form of reward or honor, etc. Here, at this exalted point, the love of the Creator and the love of his friends unite and actually become one, as said in the article Matan Torah, item 15. So the state that we need to come to is to love other people. Because what does it mean to love other people? It means that I've changed my egoistic nature into a loving nature, right? Because what difference does it make if I changed my nature? What difference does it make? I'm going to love everyone, right? I'm going to love you, whoever is on the screen here, right? I'm going to love them all. Why? Because your nature changed. So loving the Creator or loving any person or loving anything in creation, it won't matter because your nature changed. And that's the important thing, because a lot of people go around saying, well, I love you and I hate you. Okay. Why? Because that's our egoistic nature. I like what tastes good and don't like what doesn't taste good. So this is why our egoistic nature is picky, right? But if we've changed ourselves and from our egoistic nature made out of ourselves an altruistic, loving nature, then our relationship to everybody needs to be in that same way, in a loving, altruistic way. So I can't choose. I need to love everyone, because where there is, selection, there's egoism. And if I relate to everybody in the same loving way, then I've actually started to relate to the whole of reality, the whole of creation, like the Creator. There's just pure love and bestowal towards the whole of reality. In this manner, one affects a certain measure of advancement on the ladder of love for others in all the people of the world in general, since that degree which that individual caused by his actions, whether large or small, ultimately joins the future in shifting the world to the side of merit, since his share has been added and joins the shift. As written in item 20 in the allegory about the sesame seeds, one who commits one sin, meaning he cannot overcome and conquer his filthy self-love, and therefore steals or does something of the sort, sentences himself and the whole world to the side of sin. This is because with the disclosure of the filth of self-love, the only lowly nature of creation is reinforced. Thus, he takes away a certain amount from the sentencing to the final side of merit, like a person removing from the scale that single sesame seed his friend had put there. Thus, to that extent, he slightly elevates the side of sin. It turns out that he regresses the world. As they said, one sinner destroys much good because he could not overcome his petty lust. He pushed the spirituality of the world, the whole world, backwards. All right, so as you can see, it's a pretty severe situation. Now, when we look at our lives and when we're living things on a day-to-day regular basis, we don't see like we're harming anyone, right? We don't we don't go around doing bad things to people every day, all day, right? We don't see it that way anyway, okay? Because everybody thinks they're good, right? So it's a bit of a problem because we don't see our bad sides, we don't see our egoistic thoughts, we don't pay attention to our egoistic desires, we don't pay attention to the fact that we're always thinking about ourselves. We don't pay attention to these things. And because we don't pay attention to these things, we unknowingly cause problems. Okay? Unknowingly cause problems. So the difference between knowingly and unknowingly is coming from the study. So if we're studying together, we have to kind of build ourselves into a state where we understand how we need to help each other out, why we need to help each other out, and how much can we, okay? And, you know, if we're slack, if we don't pay enough attention or put enough backbone into it, what could happen? Okay, so we're all dependent, responsible for each other, also in society as well. Because if you think about it, we live as a society. So in society, we depend on other people. We depend on the farmers for food. We depend on the factories for clothes, cars, everything that we use in life, right? We're depending on other people. Nobody makes everything they use by themselves. So we depend on everything. And everything is in the hands, if you think about it, of other people. It's like I'm living my life without any control, have no idea what can happen tomorrow. This is just how we're living it. So what can you do? All right. In order for us to understand how interconnected we are, unfortunately, most of the time we go through bad experiences, such as wars and famine and all kinds of, pandemics and stuff like that. But if we understood that our good future depends on how we all treat each other well and with consideration so that nobody's lacking anything, then everybody would have a great life. However, though, our egoism does not let us, because egoism gets pleasure from being on top of others. Okay, being stronger, richer, more powerful, more knowing, and so on. So what can you do? We're going to have to learn as humanity the hard way. Okay, but that's just how it is. So this education process that we're going through as humanity throughout our historical development is bringing us to such a state that soon we'll understand that without really helping each other and thinking about each other, we cannot stay alive. That's where we're going to get to. Any questions? No? Yes? No? Ingrid has another one. Is feeling good related to bestowal? Can one feel bad when bestowing? What is the compass? Well, think about it when we think about it egoistically as well, right? If we love someone, egoistically, let's say, we feel good, yeah? Because there's this love between us, we feel good, it makes us feel fuzzy. So we're all good. Okay, and if we don't, we feel bad. So in bestowal, there is also a feeling of bad, and that feeling of bad is where I see that I couldn't do more. Okay, so for example, if I love someone, and if I feel that I could have done more for them, but I didn't, okay, that's the sorrow. So we can have sorrow in bestowal as well, but that's temporary as well. That's temporary until we get to the end of our correction. Why? Because it's necessary for us to feel that sorrow as well, because it allows us to see where we need to make an addition. It allows us to see where we need to fill in the gaps. Okay, so yeah, we feel good when we're bestowing, and when we're even in spirituality as well. If I see that I could have done more but I didn't, then I can be in sorrow. But that allows me to fill in the blanks, let's say. Okay, so it's necessary until our final correction. The compass is always going to be the group, because I'm always going to measure myself according to the group. Could I have done more for them? Or, for example, let's say I was supposed to have a meeting with them at lunchtime on Zoom. I could have come, but you know what? I didn't. Okay. So that's that. So on the one hand, you feel bad because you let them down. On the other hand, that bad feeling pushes you not to do it again. Okay. So this is how we can measure ourselves. It's always measured towards the people I'm studying and working with in order to advance in spirituality, because we're always trying to measure how much more I can contribute to the love between us, right, among the friends. And then I can always say, well, did I do enough or not? If I try to do it with the outside world, I won't make it, because it's not a mutual work with the people outside. They're not interested in doing this mutual work, right? So you can't measure anything. This is why a lot of people in the outside world, they say, I do so much good for other people and everybody's like spitting on me. Okay. Well, you know, what did you expect, right? The whole world is egoistic. What do you expect them to do? Give you hugs? No, they're going to use you and abuse you. It's just how it is. So this is why you got to do the work with the friends. And when everybody's chipping in, then you can also get an impression from the friends as to where you can fill in the blanks, right? That's how you get the impression. So that's why it's important. And the compass is therefore always the lessons and how I apply what I've learned in the group so that I can get that proper feedback. Right, yo. So we've stopped at item number 23, right? So we've got 23, 24, 25. So we've got a few more to go, I guess. Well, it's a long article. Well, never mind. We'll stop at 23 today. So please make a note of that. All right, 23. We'll carry on with it tomorrow. It's a nice article. It's a heavy one. And it obviously is going to only make sense to someone who's working in the group. So if you're new to the website, if you're new to the YouTube page, that is, and you just fell out of the sky, obviously this is going to be it's going to be like a heavy article. But like I said, you can always check out the semester 1, 2, 3 lessons, which are on the YouTube site as well. And if you're interested in the wisdom of Kabbalah, you can always go to kabbalah.info and check out the courses there. And you can find like-minded people from all around the world. All right. In the interim, though, we're going to love you and leave you. Have a great evening, and we'll see you next time.